So this baby was born here. It had complete features of a baby, 2 hands, 2 legs, but when I saw its head, I got really scared. It looked so different, like nothing I'd ever seen before. And the smell, oh my god, was like rotten fish. Robert had already run out of the room on seeing the baby. It's just one brave nurse that stepped in and started cleaning the baby up. The baby cried so loud, letting us know that she was alive and breathing. I can't even begin to describe how shocked the doctor was when he saw the baby. He tried to hide his emotions, but I could tell he was flabbergasted too. I really felt like disappearing on the spot. I wished that was actually possible. So the baby was cleaned up and they put her by my side. And her cry was really disturbing everyone. So I became the topic amongst the nurses, and it was really a lot to handle. I couldn't even bring myself to breastfeed her. I was just so scared and irritated by her appearance. Deep down, I knew that this child wasn't from God. I knew that I had made a deal with the devil, and since he did not have the ability to give me a child, he packaged a demon baby in my womb. Well, I named this baby Hope, but I couldn't help but think that she was sent from hell to make my life unbearable. So around 6 p.m., Jane's school called me telling me that she was the only child left in school. Robert had completely abandoned her, and I was so worried. Because I was still in the hospital. So I pleaded with the school to have one of the caregivers bring her to the hospital to me. So I waited and waited until around 8 p.m. but there was no sign of Jane. I started getting really anxious, and my fear was actually confirmed when I called the school and I was told that the caregiver had just sent them a text saying that she had accidentally gotten on a bus with some ritualists, and presently she did not know where they were heading. It was really terrifying. I jumped out of the bed and started screaming like crazy. The nurses rushed in thinking I was freaking out because of Hope. But that wasn't the case. I was screaming because I suddenly remembered that dream I had earlier that day. The dream about the strong man who wanted to seize my 2 kids from me. One part of the dream was actualized. The strong man had slammed Hope on the floor, and I think that's why she came out looking like a monster. And Jane, who was saved by my mom in the dream, had actually been kidnapped in real life. Unfortunately, my mom was not alive to save Jane through prayers. And to make things worse, just like in the dream when Robert was just standing there, not able to do anything, she was nowhere to be found. And it was like a never-ending nightmare. I kept screaming, and the next thing I knew, I felt a prick and everything went blurry. I had been sedated. When I finally woke up by 11 p.m., I looked around desperately for Robert, but he wasn't still there. My heart sank, and I remembered Jane. Where was she? I then found her. I did not want to scream again, to avoid being sedated again. So I decided to call Robert, and surprisingly, he picked up the phone. I could hear loud music playing in the background. So I asked him where he was, and he was like, "Where do you expect me to be?" I tried keeping my composure, and I replied that I had just given birth, but he did not let me finish what I was going to say. So he was like, "That thing you gave birth to is not a child, and I guess you got it from one of those places." So he told me if I wanted to continue with him, that I should get rid of the baby. So his words really hit me, and I started crying. I knew I had made some mistakes, but I had more important things to discuss. So I just told him everything that happened with Jane, and Robert immediately hung up. And I knew within me that he was going to make some calls to his well-connected friends, to find out about Jane's whereabouts. But as days went by, we still couldn't find Jane or the teacher. So it actually had been a week, and I had become a shadow of myself. I had been discharged from the hospital, and they forcefully gave me the baby to take home. So all these things happened, and Robert started staying out late. And because of the stench of the baby, I used a different room. No matter how much I bathed her, like I bathed her, she still smelled like rotten fish. When I asked Robert if I could hire a caregiver, he didn't seem to care. He told me until the baby died, he did not want me talking to him. I knew he was indirectly telling me to kill the child, but I could not do it. There are times I imagined killing her with a pillow, but I was scared. I was scared that would be the second baby I was going to kill. So life continued, but unfortunately, finding a caregiver for Hope became so difficult, especially when they saw Hope. By the second month, the school and I lost hope in finding Jane and their caregiver. I was gradually losing it. Then my world came crashing totally when Robert returned one day really calm and said he had something to discuss with me. He told me that he believed it was best for us both to separate. He said he wasn't going to leave me empty, so he offered me some properties and money to start a new life. I just sat there looking like a zombie as I realized that I went into this relationship with my daughter Jane, and I was going out without her, but with a big burden called a child in my hand as a replacement. It was so heartbreaking. I knew Robert's mind was made up, and there was no point begging him, and I didn't even have the strength for it.